Okay, the top of chapter 10, how I became the only personal pupil of the greatest mental scientists of the present day. As soon as the idea of studying with Troward came to me, I asked a friend to write to him for me. The feeling that perhaps my friend could put my desire in a better or more persuasive terms than I could employ, to all the letters written by this friend, I received not one reply. This was so discouraging that I would have completely abandoned the idea of becoming Troward's pupil, except for the experience I had abandoned the idea of becoming Troward's pupil. Excuse me, I got a little bit off my course here. I had that day on the street when my whole world was illuminated, and I remembered the promise, all things whatsoever thou wilt, believe thou hast received, and thou shalt receive. With this experience in my mind, my passage to England was arranged, notwithstanding the fact that apparently my letters were ignored. We wrote again, however, and finally received a reply. Very courteous, though very positive. Troward did not take pupils. He had no time to devote to a pupil, notwithstanding this definite decision. I declined to be discouraged because of the memory of my experience upon the day when the light and the thought came to me. I am all the substance there is. I seem to be able to live that experience over at will. And will there always came a flood of courage and renewed energy. We journeyed on to London, and from there telegraphed Troward asking for an interview. The telegram was promptly answered by Troward. At the same time, Troward was living in Rouen Manor, a little out-of-the-way place in the southern part of England, about 20 miles from a railway station. We could not find it on the map, and with great difficulty, Cook's touring agency in London located the place for us. There was very little speculation in my mind as to what Troward would say to me in this interview. There always remained the feeling that the truth was mine. Also, that it would grow and expand in my consciousness until the peace and contentment were outward as well as inward manifestations of my individual life. We arrived at Troward's house in a terrific rainstorm and were accordingly received by Troward himself, whom I found, much to my surprise, to be more the type of a Frenchman than an Englishman. I afterwards learned that he was descendant of the Huguenot race, a man of medium stature, with rather a large head, big nose, and eyes that fairly danced with merriment. After we had been introduced to the other members of the family and given a hot cup of tea, we were invited into the living room where Troward talked very freely of everything except my proposed studies. It seemed quite impossible to bring him to that subject. Just before we were leaving, however, I asked quite boldly, "Will you not reconsider your decision to take a personal pupil? I wish so much to study with you," to which he replied, with a very indifferent manner, that he did not feel he could give the time it would require for personal instruction, but that he would be glad to give me the names of two or three books which he felt would not only be interesting but instructive to me. He said he felt much flattered and pleased that I had come all the way from America to study with him. And as we walked out through the lane from his house to our automobile, his manner became less indifferent. A feeling of sympathy seemed to touch his heart, and he turned to me with the remark, "You might write to me, if so inclined, after you get to Paris, and perhaps, if I have time in the autumn, we could arrange something, though it does not seem possible now." I lost no time in following up his very kind invitation to write. My letters were all promptly and courteously answered. but there was never a word of encouragement as to my proposed studies. Finally, about 2 months later, there came a letter with a question in it. What do you suppose is the meaning of the verse in the 21st chapter of Revelation? 16. And the city 16, and the city lieth foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. The length and breadth and the height of it are equal. Instinctively, I knew that my chance to study with Troward hung upon my giving the correct answer to that question. The definition of the verse seemed utterly beyond my reach. Naturally, answers came to my mind, but I knew intuitively that none was correct. I began bombarding my scholarly friends and acquaintances with the same question. Lawyers, doctors, priests, nuns, clergymen all over the world received letters from me with this question in them. Later, answers began to return to me, but intuition told me that none was correct. All the while, I was endeavoring to find the answer for myself, but none seemed to come. I memorized that verse in order that I might meditate upon it. I began a search for Paris for the books Troward had recommended to me, and after 2 or 3 days' search, we crossed the river Seine to Lie de Site to go into some of the old bookstores there. They were out of print, and these were the best places to find them in. Finally, we came upon a little shop that had books there. These were the last copies the man had. Consequently, the price was high. While remonstrating with the clerk, my eye rested upon the work of an astrologer, which I laughingly picked up and asked, "Do you think Professor would read my horoscope?" The clerk looked aghast at the suggestion and responded, "Why, no, madam. This is one of the French's greatest astrologers. He does not read horoscopes." Go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, hang on a second. I just got out of there for a second. I was just looking at the definition of the word remonstrate. Make a forcefully reproachful protest. Okay, so where did you finish?
In spite of answer, okay, at the end of after the clerk had responded, and at the end of the paragraph, he does not read horoscopes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought you said. Okay, cool. In spite of this answer, there was a persistent impulse within me to go to the man. The friend who had accompanied me in my search for the books remonstrated with me and tried in every way to dissuade me from going to the famous astrologer, but I insisted, and she went with me. When we came to his office, I found it somewhat embarrassing to ask him to read my horoscope. Nevertheless, there was nothing to do but put the question. Reluctantly, the professor invited us into his paper-strewn study, and reluctantly, and also impatiently, asked us to be seated. Very courteously and coldly, he told me that he did not read horoscopes. His whole manner said, more clearly than words could, that he wished we would take our departure. My friend stood up. I was at a great loss what to do next, because I felt that I was not quite ready to go. Intuition seemed to tell me there was something for me to gain there. Just what it was, I was unable to define. So I paused a moment, much to my friend's displeasure, when one of the professor's enormous Persian cats jumped into my lap. "Get down, Jack," the professor shouted. "What does it mean?" he seemed to ask himself. Then, with a greater interest than he had hitherto shown in me, the professor said with a smile, "I've never known that cat to go to a stranger before, madam. My cat pleads for you. I also now feel an interest in your horoscope, and if you will give me the data, it will give me pleasure to write it out for you." There was a great feeling of happiness in me when he made this statement. He concluded by saying, I do not feel that you really care for your horoscope. The truth of this statement shocked me because I did not care about a horoscope. I could not give any reason why I was letting him do it. However, he said, may I call you for your data next Sunday afternoon? On Sunday afternoon, at the appointed time, the professor arrived, and I was handing him the slip of paper with all the data of my birth, etc., when the idea came to me to ask the professor for the answer to the question about the 16th verse of the 21st chapter of Revelation. The thought was instantly carried into effect, and I found myself asking this man what he thought this verse meant. Without pausing to think it over, he immediately replied, it means the city signifies the truth, and the truth is non-invertible. Every side from which you approach it is exactly the same. Intuitively and undoubtingly, I recognized this answer as the true one, and my joy knew no bounds because I felt sure that with this correct answer in my possession, Troward would accept me as his pupil in the fall. As the great astrologer was leaving, I explained to him all about my desire to study with Troward, how I had come from New York City for that express purpose, seemingly to no avail until the answer to this test question had been given to me by him. He was greatly interested and asked many questions about Troward, and when asked if he would please send me his bill, he smilingly replied, let me know if the great Troward accepts you as his pupil, and bade me good afternoon. I hastened to my room to send a telegram to Troward giving him my answer to the question about the 16th verse of the 21st chapter of Revelation. There was an immediate response from Troward that said, your answer is correct, and beginning a course of lectures on the Great Pyramid in London. If you wish to attend them, we'll be pleased to have you. And afterward, if you still wish to study with me, I think it can be arranged. On receipt of this reply, preparations were at once made to leave Paris for London. I attended all the lectures, receiving much instruction from them, after which arrangements were made for my studying with Troward. 2 days before leaving for Cornwall, I received the following letter from Troward, clearly indicating the line of study he gave me. 31 Stanwick Road, West Kensington, England, November 8, 1912. Dear Mrs. Durand, I think I had better write you a few lines with regard to your proposed studies with me, as I should be sorry for you to be under any misapprehension and so to suffer any disappointment. I have studied the subject now for several years and have a general acquaintance with the leading features of most of the systems which, unfortunately, occupy attention in many circles at the present time, such as Theosophy, the Tarot, the Kabbalah, and the like. And I have no hesitation in saying that, to the best of my judgment, all sorts and descriptions of so-called occult study are in direct opposition to the real life-giving truth, and therefore you must not expect any teaching on such lines as these. We hear a great deal these days about initiation, but believe me, the more you try to become a so-called initiate, the further you will put yourself from living life. I speak after many years of careful study and consideration. And when I say that the Bible and its revelation of Christ is the one thing really worth studying, and that is a subject large enough in all conscience, embracing, as it does, our outward life and of everyday concerns, and also the inner springs of our life, and all that we can, in general terms, conceive of the life in the unseen after putting off the body at death. Whoa, that was a mouthful. You have expressed a very great degree of confidence in my teaching, and if your confidence is such that you wish, as you say, to put yourself entirely under my guidance, I can only accept it as a very serious responsibility, and should have to ask you to exhibit that confidence by refusing to look into such so-called mysteries as I would forbid you to look into. I am speaking from experience, but the rest will be that much of my teaching will appear to be very simple, perhaps to some extent dogmatic, and you will say you have heard much of it before. Faith in God, prayer and worship, approach to the Father through Christ. All this is, in a certain sense, familiar to you, and all I can hope to do is perhaps to throw a little more light on these subjects, that they may become to you not merely traditional words, but present living facts. I have been thus explicit, as I do not want you to have any disappointment, and I should also I should say that our so-called course of study will be only friendly conversations at such times as we can fit them in, either you coming to our house or I to yours, as may be most convenient at the time. Also, I will lend you some books that will be helpful, but they are very few and in no sense occult. Now, if all this falls in with your ideas, we shall, I am sure, be very glad to see you at Ruin Manor, and you will find that the residents there, though few, are very friendly and the neighborhood very pretty. But on the other hand, if you feel that you want some other source of learning, do not mind saying so, only you will never find any substitute for Christ. I trust you will not mind my writing you like this, but I do not want you to come all the way down to Cornwall and then be disappointed. With kindest regards, yours sincerely, T. Troward. This copy of Troward's letter, to my mind, is the greatest thing I can give you. I can keep reading, or does somebody else want to take over? Okay, I'll keep going.
Sorry, I was muted. I can read if you want to break. I'll just wait. I thought Kathy might want to have a turn.
Oh, sorry, I was muted too.
Well, I figured you were muted, but I thought, well, how long does it take to get unmuted? I guess they don't want to read.
Oh, yeah, it's like I will, but no one answered. Okay, I'll go ahead. Chapter 11.
You guys
Chapter 11. How to bring the power in your word into action. In every word you use, there is a power germ which expands and projects itself in the direction your word indicates and ultimately develops into physical expression. For example, you wish the consciousness of joy. Repeat the word joy secretly, persistently, and emphatically. The repetition of the word joy sets up a quality of vibration which causes a joy germ to begin to expand and project itself until your whole being is filled with joy. This is not a mere fancy, but a truth. Once you experience this power, you will daily prove to yourself that these facts have not been fabricated to fit a theory, but the theory has been built up by careful observation of facts. Everyone knows that joy comes from within. No one can give it to you. Another may give you cause for joy, but no one can be joyous for you. Joy is a state of consciousness, and consciousness is pure mental. Troward says the mental faculties always work under something which stimulates them, and this stimulus may come either from without, through the external senses, or from within, by the consciousness of something not perceptible on the physical plane. The recognition of the interior source of stimulus enables you to bring into your consciousness any state you desire. Once a thing seems normal to you, it is as surely yours through the law of growth and attraction as it is yours to know addition after you have learned the use of figures. This method of repeating the word makes the word in all of its limitless meaning yours. Because words are the embodiment of thoughts, and the thought is creative, neither good nor bad, simply creative. This is the reason why faith builds up and fear destroys. Only believe and all things are possible unto you. It is faith that gives you dominion over every adverse circumstance or condition. It is your word of faith that sets you free, not faith in any specific thing at once, but simple faith in your best self in all ways. It is this ever-present creative power within your heart of the Word that makes your health, your peace of mind, and your financial condition a reproduction of the most habitual thought. Try to believe and understand this, and you will find yourself master of every adverse circumstance or condition, where you will become a prince of power.
Nice. That sounds good.
Mm.
In the second paragraph at the start, I really found this interesting, how she talked about remembering when she realized that she is the source. She said, I am all the substance there is. And then she said, I seem to be able to live that experience over at will. And with it, there always came a flood of courage and renewed energy. That is a really good tool if you've got something that you've experienced in the past that made your faith really strong, like that for her, to be able to bring it up and get that essence again.
Yeah, that's kind of cool to be able to manifest that.
A state of being.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because there's so much going on around us that can discourage us and our faith, that if we've got a few things that we can bring back up, it's really helpful.
I had a curious question. It just kind of come to my mind. It was like, well, what is the significance of Troward not wanting anything to do with the mysticisms or the mystic teachings? Why did he want to avoid that? Was there something about it of what he was doing differently that made it kind of obsolete?
This is set, when is it, 19?
I think he believed it, and he just wasn't going to explain it or justify it. I think there was just an acceptance of it is.
It is what it is.
Well, I took it to mean that he didn't believe in the occult and tarot cards and things like that. That's what I took it to believe. That he
was using only internal.
Okay,
internal intuition and faith.
Yeah, he said the occult study are in direct opposition to the real life-giving truth.
Oh, well, there you tells you how well I read it.
And in those days, those things may be a little bit different to how they are now.
Yeah, because today, people can tap into that a little bit, like, some of the tarot reading cards and whatnot. But the thing about it is that it's only in that moment in time. It doesn't mean that it's in stone. So it's not necessarily, it's just another kind of like another perspective to consider. But
I think Troward's focus was within. And none of the without, like, it wasn't like, I don't want any external things like tarot cards or whatever. It's like, this is all based on truth and with it coming from within. And, you know,
that's great.
That's how I saw it. I got to be honest though, when I read that quote from the Bible, I never would have guessed that.
Oh, me neither. Not even close.
I didn't realize we talked about cult in the Bible.
Yeah, but I mean, when it talks about
that scene was.
Yeah, and the city lieth foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. The length and breadth and height of it are equal. Well, being an engineer, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, this parable stuff. It's like, you just got to be straight with me, because I read nothing into that. And I wondered, like, I know it was a test, but the answer didn't come from her. So was he, maybe he was okay with that, but she searched for the answer from others.
Yeah, maybe he was just testing her, how motivated and serious she was. like how much effort she would put in to
Yep.
studying with him, and so this was an indication that yes, she would put in the effort
Yeah.
that would make it worth his while to spend his time with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he'd have a reputation to uphold too, because he was obviously teaching a lot of people and doing courses. So if he took on one student, he'd want to make sure that they were going to stick with it and get some results.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
a good
He
point.
wouldn't just pick up anyone to be his one special student.
Yeah, it didn't sound like that was a habit. He didn't take on individual students.
Mm.
So
Well,
it
and
was a big decision on his part.
what I liked about the cat was that you often hear that dogs and cats have a sixth sense, you know, in their simple, you know, they just have a knowing that we have too, but we clutter it up with our thinking, you know, and all the daily noise. So I liked how he said how the
Points
cat,
of view and perceptions. Yeah.
yeah, how the cat, you know, because he was knowing of this fact, because just the fact that the cat laid on her lap was like good enough for him to say, okay,
Yeah.
I'll do your read.
What I read into that was that it was the universe aligning things up
Yep.
to bring
Yeah.
people and circumstances into place to make her desires come to fruition. So that's what that said to me.
I thought it was cool that he knew that the cat had you know, that there was something for the cat to have done that he, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought that was
It's like a
pretty neat.
message to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Message to him, exactly.
Yeah. In an undeniable way, because obviously the cat never does that. So for the cat to do that, that was a clear message.
Yeah. And he read the message.
Yeah.
So,
Like we sometimes don't, right?
right.
Oh, yeah. It just goes straight over our head and down like water off a duck's back.
Yeah,
Especially
we just go, oh, wasn't that strange? Or wasn't that a coincidence? No,
Yeah.
you know, we don't go, oh, I wonder what that meant. I should be paying attention.
Yeah.
What is right about this that I'm not getting? It's a good one to kind of fall on when that happens. Can be.
So one thing that in chapter 11, and it's a word, but it's me being a kind of a literal person that it bothers me. It's in the second paragraph.
And
he
which one? The
says-
chapter 11 or 10?
Chapter 11.
Okay.
He goes, Troward says the mental faculties always works under something which stimulates them. And this stimulus can come either from without, through the external senses, or from within by the consciousness of something not perceptible to the physical plane. It's the word without. I just have such a hard time when they use that, because to me the word without is kind of like, you know, I know because of through the external senses, so he's talking from the outside. But for me, without has a different meaning. And so it's in one of the other books, you know, I think it's in The Science of Getting Rich, that he talks about without. And I'm like, it just rubs me the wrong way, because it's like, I don't get it. That to me is lacking.
Yeah.
So there's just some different interpretations, obviously, going
Yeah,
with
I
that.
think it has more than one meaning, and we just don't
Yeah.
use that meaning in modern day language much anymore. It just means
Exactly.
like the opposite within, right?
Yep.
But we just don't use it in that way like
Yeah.
they used to.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up that topic about words having different meaning, because she's talking about using words. And Cheryl, you've been talking about using words, like repeating words that have a certain meaning.
Right.
But if you repeat a word that means something to you and I repeat that same word, it may mean something different to me. So you need to
Yep.
find your own word that has the right essence.
That carries
what
the
you
right
want to create.
emotion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
There's actually a book, I think, and it's called Your One Word. And what it suggests is you have your one word for the year to reflect you.
Oh, I've seen
Yeah.
some people talking about that on Facebook too, what their word for this year is. And I saw somebody I thought was a great word to have as kind of your mantra for the year was elevation. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
There's your word. I chose
Well, yeah.
I chose this as one word because I'm hyphenating it. Blast off.
I like that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not only elevation, that's like
Yeah.
elevation to the 100th degree.
Magnified.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not kidding you. I'll tell you guys at the end about this journal I'm using and this group I found, but it's and that's where I've just decided my word is blast off
Nice.
for my 3. So, but anyway, but I liked how, at the beginning of, I figure if I hyphenate it, it's one word, so it counts.
Yeah,
My husband liked it too, and I go, come up with your own word.
Sure.
That's my word.
Why not?
But at the beginning of chapter 11, I like how in every word you use, there is a power germ. It's like what's the law of germination? Is that gestation? There's a power germ which expands and projects itself in the direction your word indicates and ultimately develops into physical expression, like joy. So if you keep saying joy, secretly, persistently, and emphatically, you're raising your vibration to that, and you'll attract more things of joy in your life.
Yeah.
I like that.
Joyful am I, joyous am I. I am filled with joy.
Yes. Even through the tears, keep saying it.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do first thing in the morning. Start the day.
Yep. But I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And then at the end of that paragraph, she says, joy is a state of consciousness, and consciousness is purely mental.
It's a
Yep.
very high vibration too for joy.
Yep.
Mm.
So once again, thoughts, joy is a word which creates a thought, and we know thought is consciousness, and love it.
Yeah. So we can be in the default consciousness that we find ourselves in through experience, or we can create our own consciousness.
Yep. And what's that expression? I should write it down about circumstances. Like, basically you can choose your circumstance, instead of being kind of reacting to, it's kind of like instead of reacting to what's reality, focus on the circumstance you want. So it's like focus on what you want and make the circumstances happen. I'd never get those expressions right, but something like
responding as opposed to reaction in the element of being choosing to choice creating.
Be guided from within instead of, I'm not going to say from without because it just bothers me. The outside.
It just kind of came to me when you just said that, about without. There's something that I think I might have read in Ernest Holmes' book, something about within and without. Without is kind of like the I don't know. It's somehow I was thinking about it can be a different interpretation too if there's something else, other thing that's kind of brought in. So for example, is like the infinite intelligence, even though it's within, it's also without, kind of like all around and within, everywhere. But yet, when we think in terms of communicating and expressing and having our points of views or perceptions like that, the without, we tend to always refer to that as being external, outside of ourselves. So it's just a different aspect. Just kind of came up.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we need to use the within to create the without, not continue with what's without. Just
and
staying,
reacting.
yeah, and then just staying
Hmm.
with what and allowing what is already there to continue to create what's coming.
Hmm. It makes me think of the element with peace. You know, it's like when a person, the more peaceful a person is from within, then they're not as likely to be so concerned about out there, you know, external as much. You kind of roll off.
Yeah, well then they're out there becomes calm because that's what they're creating. That's
Mm,
their
yeah.
consciousness creating their reality. And so even if out there is busy, but you choose to be calm, as
Oh, yeah.
time progresses, the outward will become calm because we're creating our circumstances and our environment as we go. So if you
The
can,
germinated seed
yeah,
of creating.
yeah, take some deep breaths, say the word, and then the external will follow.
Well, and it says in the second paragraph, chapter 11, the recognition of this interior source of stimulus enables you to bring into your consciousness any state you desire. So, I mean, I go back to that time when my daughter was coming over and I was fit to be tied. And then when I decided what it was that I wanted in my relationship with her, and so when she came in the door, instead of me reacting, I responded. And I got, you know, the state I desired, not only in myself, but from her. Because I was calm, she was calm in responding. Whereas
Yeah.
I had gotten really mad and blown up, she would have gotten all defensive and blown up.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
And I think one of the really important points that is kind of always in the background that we maybe don't concentrate on enough is that you have to be in a state of already having your desire. And that's exactly what you did, Kathy. You decided this is how I want it to be, so that I'm going to make it so. And you did it, right?
yes, yeah, exactly.
So
And
you were already in.
I've been experimenting with that a little bit. It just kind of came upon me. I went to go see a practitioner of mine. It was last week, who works with helping to working with the energy field of the body and everything. And there was at one point we got into a discussion or something. We had comments exchanged, and she reminded me. She said, "You're still healing. You're still You're still in recovery. It's kind of like, you know, give yourself a break, you know." But then in my mind, I was going after that. From then on, it was just kind of coming to me as I say, I feel like I'm already healed. I'm already healed. So what's been happening is like, you know, I'm already recovered. You know, it's almost like, you know, I'm acting as if, you know, oh, I'm already there, you know, and now I'm to where I don't have to rely so much on any, you know, I walk around home just, you know, normal. You can go down to the lobby and get my mail and stuff and don't
That
have to
must
worry
feel
about.
good.
Oh, it does, you know, and of course I have to kind of remind myself, remember that, you know, I do need to just kind of keep myself in motion, doing some movements and things like that. And I was given, you know, it was like I was getting an insight too that my body wants to go swimming, so I got to work that out. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting though. It really is interesting how it speeds things up when we really put that formula to work.
Yeah. Well, she talks about it in chapter 10 in the third paragraph as well. She said that there always remained the feeling that the truth was mine, because this is
Right.
when Troward still didn't agree to work with her, and also that it would grow and expand in my consciousness until peace and contentment were outward as well as inward manifestations of my
Hmm.
individual life. So she desired it, so she must be able to have it. If she'd already desired it, then it was already vibrationally true. She just needed to stay with it until it physically manifested.
Yeah.
yep.
I needed to apply that in my doing some decluttering.
Don't we all?
As if it's already, it's like, okay, like I had intended this morning, I was going to spend my morning doing decluttering, and but time was taken up with taking care of preparing and having my meals, and then doing stuff that required me to be on the internet, and I didn't really want to be on the internet. So it's almost like I can understand why people hire people to do some things for themselves, so they can get other things accomplished that they really desire. So
Yep.
that's one thing I want to put into my wanting to have is, once to be able to do that, so that I can specifically, spend time on what I really is meaningful to me, instead of having these other things, and hire somebody that can help with the other parts that, I can, so anyway, it's kind of I don't know how do you manage time that way? But, you have to kind of do everything yourself.
Planning.
Huh?
Planning.
Give
I
you
mean,
a lot
that's
of
what
advice with planning.
Yeah. I mean, it does.
Yeah.
It comes down to planning, and
Yeah.
what I've been working on. And, when we're done at the end, I'll explain what I've discovered that's helped me this last week or so. So that's excited me, actually, a planner. Who would have thought a planner would excite you? But it does. So,
Yeah. Plan everything.
yeah. Well, I like chapter 11. Only believe in all things are possible unto you. Yes. It is faith that gives you dominion over every adverse circumstance or condition. So I like that. I like the word faith. And near the end, on the next page, at the bottom of the paragraph, it says, simple faith in your best self in all ways. It is this ever-present creative power within the heart of the word that makes your health, your peace of mind, and your financial condition a reproduction of your most habitual thoughts. So I like that.
Yeah. That video series that you put in the Skype group, Callie, has anyone else had a chance to look at those?
To look at what?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I would really encourage you to look at them because it's so simplified.
It's really interesting.
What's it called? That's the power of God or something?
Your God power, something like that.
Your God power.
Yeah.
How to use your God power.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah.
And if you guys are interested, I could give you a link. I can look up and get a link to you that you can download it yourself for the audios and the PDF.
It's on YouTube, isn't it?
Well, those are on YouTube, what I put on there on the Skype. And then there's also, but if you want, the MP, I can give you the link to getting so you can download the whole package, the whole program, without having to go to the YouTube and look for all the different parts that go to it. Because it's like a lot of segments.
Yeah, that would be really good because
thank you.
It's really step by step, and it's really basic, and it seems like it's a little bit repetitive, but it's sinking the information in, and it's talking about, well, at the start he's talking about placebo effects, and he's talking about the meaning that you give things cause that to be true, and that's our power. That's our God power. So for example, with Kathy, with your daughter, you said to yourself, if I put this to her in a certain way, that will, and if I have an intention, that will cause a different situation. So meaning that you gave that was the outcome is going to be the way I want it to be. So that's what caused it to happen. So you gave that certain meaning. If you hadn't given that conversation a meaning of a resolution and an intention, it may not have had that same result. So it's the tension behind it, and it's the meaning that you give things that actually cause the physical manifestation of it. So he was talking about placebos. So someone has a disease and the doctor gives them a sugar pill, which he doesn't know is a sugar pill, and as a consequence, the disease is cured. So the sugar pill is given the meaning consciously when it's taken into the body as the meaning of the sugar pill is a cure. And because your conscious mind has given that sugar pill that meaning, that's the form that the body takes it on as, and that's why there's a cure.
Faith and belief.
Yeah. So whatever situation is in our life, whatever meaning we give to it, that's what will be.
It's funny to mention that because, I know we're not doing chapter 12, but because it was short, I read it. And it's interesting because they're talking about how faith, and how it says the vitality of the word of faith you use causes it to take corresponding physical form. Even intense fear is alive with faith. And it's like what you're saying is like, you have faith that, a belief in that pill, and it makes it so.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly that. If we can apply that to everything, and the Access Bars course that I did on the weekend, she's talking about food, and she said our body needs sugar, salt, water, and energy. She said the body doesn't care how you get it. It's the meaning that we give to the foods that put the weight on and make us sick.
Yes.
So if I eat a pizza and put the meaning on the pizza that it's going to make me fat because it's a naughty food, that's what's going to happen. But if I eat the pizza and give it the meaning of I really enjoy the flavour and I'm just nourishing my body, this is what it needs right now, it's not going to put the weight on. And Esther
there's so
talks
many
about it a
different
lot as well. She talks about coffee as well. She said, Abraham does. If I drink coffee in the evening, it's going to keep me up at night. Yeah, well, that's just because that's what you believe.
Yep.
So,
I've heard that many times. And then again, you can relate that back to blessing the food, right?
Yeah, give it whatever meaning you want. Have a big bowl of ice cream and say, look, the meaning I give you is that of what I would usually give the meaning of a celery stick.
Yeah. Well, it's like saying that grace over the food. Bless this food for giving me the nourishment that I need, and I thank the universe for providing it for me. Just like we talked about that in some other book, how people used to say grace over the food all the time, and that was why, because they were giving the intention of the food.
Yep.
Yeah.
How long is your God power?
I think it's pretty long because chapter 1 has about, maybe 10 or 15 parts, but they're quite short. They're only a few minutes each.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's
So
lots
Kelly,
of chapters.
one?
Oh, Kelly looks like she's dropped off.
Oh, she does too. Okay.
Yeah. So that would be good if she does post that, because even though I find his voice a little hard to listen to for long periods of time, it's really good content. Really good content.
Okay.
He reminds me of someone off Sesame Street, when they're talking to the kids.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, sometimes I download, I usually download YouTube stuff, and then I listen to it and I play it faster. And just because sometimes it's like I'm going to go to sleep, it just doesn't capture my interest. So I might play it back 1.5 times faster, just depends on the person. And there's other things that I've listened to that I've had to actually slow down because it's just they're reading it like it's a constant stream of information and they never stop. And so it just goes on and on and on. And it's like my brain can't absorb it because it's just too fast.
Yeah.
So then I slow it down. But I usually download everything so I can choose. But it's funny because in my trading, there's a woman I follow, and when I get the videos, I listen to them at 1.7 times the speed because I pretty well know. Sometimes 2 times. Well, Mark is working with me now, and it's like, we had it at regular speed. It's like, oh my God, she sounds drunk, because it's so slow compared to, I'm used to her going through that stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hope she does post that so I can pick up the speed.
Yeah. Yeah. Good idea. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the next week when we learn more about faith.
Mm. This
So you
this
said
chapter
you're going to do.
sounded like it didn't really have much, but it did. It had a lot of her using her intuition, which is a point we don't want to skip over, because just about every step of the way that she took, it was listening to her intuition.
Yep.
And she went to different countries. She put herself in awkward positions, like with the astrologer. She sat there and didn't get up because she just knew that there was something that that she was meant to be there for, but she didn't know what it was, so she just listened to it. And I think that's, if we can develop that ourselves and just trust it and allow it to take its course, would be really beneficial.
Yep.
I learned a little technique for making decisions on the weekend, and it's the 10-second rule. So if you're trying to make a decision, when you want to do something that feels really heavy, it doesn't feel right, or if it's something that you're excited about or you really want to do, it feels light. So what you do is you spend 10 seconds thinking about one side of the choice. So yes, I will do it, and put that on as if you've made that decision and feel how it feels for 10 seconds. And then analyze, okay, that felt pretty good. And then you take on having decided the other way, no, I'm not going to do it. How does that feel? And you sit with that for 10 seconds. Oh, that feels really heavy. So then that helps you to make your decision. And that
helps you. That helps you. Yeah, I was going to say that helps you with your intuition.
Yeah. Yeah. So
to your body.
Building the muscle of listening to your intuition. Just by purposefully stopping, giving 10 seconds to this side, 10 seconds to that side. What's the difference in the feeling?
You should make a note of that in Think and Grow Rich in the section on decisions. So when we get to that next time, you can bring that up again.
Yeah, good point.
Because that's a really good tip. Because I know I'll go, where did I write that down? I might do this and put it in mine.
Yeah. It's chapter 8. Yeah, I found that really helpful. Yeah, I found that really helpful, and I've started doing it already. And
started doing what?
I've just learned a technique on the weekend. It's called, I call it the 10-second rule, where you tap into how you feel about anything really, but in the case of making a decision, if it's something is I am going to do it or I'm not going to do it, what you do is sit with you are going to do it for 10 seconds. Take that on as if you've made that decision, and notice how it feels. Does it feel heavy or light? And then sit for 10 seconds with no, I'm not going to do it, and take that decision on and notice how it feels. Does that feel heavy or light? And you'll be able to make a decision based on how that feels, using your intuition rather than mulling over it and weighing it all up. And you just take it on, see how it feels. Mm-hmm. So 10 seconds on one side of the coin and 10 seconds on the other side of the coin, and notice the difference and make the decision based on what your body tells you.
Yeah. Inner awareness.
Yeah. So just practicing stopping and taking the time to listen to it.
Instead of listening to the ego with all the pros and cons and why you shouldn't and why you should stay where you are and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And, when you stop and think about it, most of that stuff is other people's stuff. Because a lot of the time we live for other people, or if I don't do it, it'll hurt their feelings, or they really need my help, or I'll feel guilty if I don't do it. I really should do it. but none of that's helpful for them or you. So just going with what your higher self tells you is always the right way.
I like that. I'm gonna tell my daughter that one, because she, when we were there in Phoenix, decided to quit her job. You know, it was extremely well paying, but it was like slave labor almost, the amount of hours that she was working. And she ended up working for a man who, turns out, he was starting to get a little abusive, kind of crossing a line. And she's just like, that's it, I'm done. She said, went in the Monday we were there, and she goes, I don't want to work for a company that allows their leaders to treat their employees like this, and walked out. So, you know, she did mortgage loans, and so she applied to one of their competitors. And she said to me, like, when she went into the interview, the minute she walked in, she just felt this sense of such heaviness that said, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You know, it was like it was, so, you know, just her intuition or whatever. And so what I said to her is, I kind of said like what Bob says. It's like, well, figure out how much money you need to live on. You know, what's the bare minimum? You know, find a job that covers that while you pursue your passion. And she wants to do something along event planning of some sort. And so it's like, okay, you know, that's great. So, but I like this 10-second rule, because I think with her, she, you know, without her even knowing it, how quickly, like, no. Whereas I tend to more the perfectionist. It's got to be the perfect answer. And, you know, you just mentally go around and around. So I'm gonna love
That's what's
this.
happening for me right now, you guys. I'm really to the point where I need to make a decision, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm going, oh, am I being too choosy? Am I not having enough patience? And you know, and should I give her another chance? And you know, and it's just so stupid, because you know, if I just think about myself, I just feel like so crushed and you know, squashed, and that I don't know that I can't work with this person anymore, and she can't work with me. So why are we continuing? Because I'm afraid of what is different, right? And am I going to find another job that I like, and you know, all that kind of stuff, right? So again, it's crazy.
So let me ask you a question. You know, if you applied, I mean, could you apply Bob's rule, where it's like, figure out the minimum amount of money you need to get by, and then pursue, you know, another option? Or
yeah, and I do have another option, because I'm now been accepted into a mentorship program to that, you know, if I study every day, I go to the meetings and communicate and read, and like, so it's a very in-depth mentorship program that if I do what I'm taught to do, I should be financially free in 2 to 5 years. It's just to get me to that 2 to 5 years, especially when I'm supporting a son that's, you know, kicking off his commission only sales job, right? So I just have to find a job, and I've got what's bothering me is I've got it so good, because I work from home on my own schedule and that kind of thing, right? So like, and part-time, and I can make it work like that, but it's just that the expectations and the feeling of valuation and respect and all of that is that's not there, and it's been eroded to the point where I can hardly bring myself to do the job, because I just, you know, kind of have no motivation, and I have to withdraw to be able to let, you know, the expectations and the comments and stuff roll off of me rather than get to me. I had to kind of like, you know, close off, put up a wall or whatever, and then you become unmotivated and disenchanted kind of thing, right? It makes it hard to do the job. So then it just becomes a vicious circle, right? Where you're not doing your job, so then the boss is not happy with you even more, and then you get your back up because she says some really mean things and it's not recognizing the good stuff you did over the past 2 years. And yeah, it's a kind of a vicious circle.
You know, the new business that you're going into, you'd have to be fairly resilient to rejection, wouldn't you?
Yes.
So maybe this is a preparation for you.
Yeah.
Hey. Good point. That's a good point. Yeah, and you know what? And I have been much better. Like if this had happened to me like a year ago, I would have been absolutely devastated. But I'm not. It's just that I'm going, okay. And if it was just me that counted on the money, it would be different. But now I got my son, and I never really know how much he's gonna need. So. And there's a couple of jobs that I've looked at that I think, oh, that looks like it would be far more fulfilling. Like right now, it's just like nitpicky and make my boss happy. Did that newsletter have a divider in the wrong spot, or did I use a wrong word that she didn't like, or just stupid stuff, or it's really not fulfilling job anymore.
She must have some sad stuff happening in her life, hey?
Well, she doesn't see it. She just doesn't see it, and it's just one thing that really, and I'm not, sorry, you guys, I'm not looking for validation, but I guess it just sometimes, as I think about it more and more things come to light for me. We had a really very critical conversation on Thursday before she went away on a holiday, so we've got 2 weeks really for both of us, and she wanted my decision whether I wanted to make the work or do the work to salvage this relationship, because she felt that being the boss and the leader, she was obligated to. I said, no, that's not good enough for me. If you're obligated, it's not sincerity. You need to want to as well, not just me. So I need your answer as well. But at the end of the conversation, I said to her, I was concerned about having this conversation right before you were going on holidays in case it did not work out well, because I didn't want you taking this with you and having a negative attitude, negative effect on your holiday. And she did not appreciate that one bit. She just, all she said was, no, I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing things. No, that wouldn't have happened. She did not see for a second that I had empathy for her.
Yeah,
and was worried about. Huh?
You're being thoughtful.
Yeah, no, it didn't mean a bit to her. Not a second did it occur to her to be thankful that I was thoughtful for her. So that's
He sounds like a good pet. Remember the pet thing in The Power? Personal emotional trainer?
Oh, yes.
If you can think of it along those lines, and then every time she does something to you that makes you feel small, thank you. Yeah. I'm getting good at this. Awesome. Yeah. Bring on some more. Let me see how much more I can take.
Cheryl, my husband works for a man that is kind of ruining the company. And, when my husband quit his other job and they started this company up, he was supposed to be eventually being one of the owners, and the owner ended up bringing his son-in-law to run things. And the owner has since died, and his son-in-law, I call him the embezzler. And it's like money isn't being paid to suppliers, and it's because this guy is living a life of Riley, and he's a liar, and he owes my husband a ton of money, and it's just like a really negative. And so what my husband and I do, because we're day traders, it's like I tell him, it's like, give thanks. It's like, and I don't know if you can do this, but it's like, be thankful for the opportunity. Like, look at the money that you're making that affords us the opportunity to pursue our passion. And so now, we've been discussing this for, a long time, but now it's like when he pulls something, my husband just uses it as a, oh, look at there. He doesn't internalize it like he used to and get all emotional. It's like, he is who he is. He's got his journey, and it's like, so when something, comes to light, it's like, he gives thanks that this is temporary because he knows he sees a light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to be successful with our trading, so I don't know if anything like that could help you to tolerate.
Yeah, I think it could, but part of it is that it's always direct criticism of my work. And it's not, and it's just most of the time she says, well, it's just because, it's my job to make us get better. Well, she just has this really such a strange outlook, and she was very careful the last thing that I did to say, oh, this was a really good job. The only thing that I would offer would be, could you do this or do this and do this? And they were like so minor. And I thought, do you not understand common leadership principles that anytime you say but, you just erased everything that you said before that, right?
Yeah.
So
it sounds like she has some real insecurities, and it's just what I mean. It's like she just needs to feel. It's kind of like who my husband works for. It's like he always has to feel like he knows more than you, because it's so petty. But I think it's ego and power.
Yeah, and I've kept on this long, and maybe I should not have, because it really did. It got past the point of where it'll be easily mendable. But when she had to fire 2 people this year, and we only have 5 positions, and she's had to fire 4 people in those 5 positions in the last 3 years. It occurred to her that maybe she was doing something wrong. And I thought, okay. And she enrolled in a leadership management, a very intensive 1-year course. And I thought, okay, good. Something good is going to come of this. So I've been hanging on, thinking that, okay, well, maybe she hasn't learned this yet. It's still coming. But in the meantime, it's just really eroded our relationship because I waited too long, I guess, thinking something was going to change. So, nothing is changing. And she keeps losing people. And it's not that, she thinks they were like subpar employees, but she doesn't know how to keep your motivation and keep your loyalty and keep you feeling important and valued and that kind of thing. So you withdraw, right?
That was my daughter's thought.
Yeah. So, it's really tough to want to work and do a good job when you don't feel respected and valued. It's like, why should I try? Because it's not going to be good enough anyways. Right? Yeah. So it's hard to keep on doing that. So I don't know. I'm really thinking the only thing is that to find something fulfilling, it's not going to be work from home part-time. I'm thinking, okay, can I go back to this rat race for a short period of time, knowing that I'm building this other business, right?
Yeah, and also, do you want to have your mind occupied with learning something new in a new business while you're trying to learn this long-term goal?
Yeah, exactly. However, too, the job that I'm doing now, it just is changing, and I have no instruction. Like, I just get thrown out into the deep end on this. Like, now I've had to create webinars, which I have no knowledge on how to do that. I have to find somebody to create a website for us. I have to put a business plan together to our board of directors to get their buy-in for it. And it's her idea. It's always changing too, without any instruction or guidance or anything like that. It's like, here, Cheryl, you do it. I know you're smart enough to do it.
So,
and then
I was going to ask, what do you think would happen if, because you said you found a job that looks really fulfilling, what would happen if you said to your son that you're going to be looking for another line of work and you're not going to be able to support him. What do you think would happen?
You know what? I don't know that I could do that, Kathy. He is, well, the job that he's doing, he's selling insurance, right? Oh,
Right.
you can't believe this, you guys. I told you about the company that he was working for, that it's called Combined Insurance,
Yep.
and it was created or established by W. Clement Stone.
Yep.
Yep.
And so they, I talked to him one day about a mastermind group, because there was something that came up on the internet about a girl wanting to start a meetup group for young people that want to talk about goals and personal development and stuff. And I sent him this and I said, you know, might you be interested in this? And he said, well, Mom, I have my own mastermind group. And he said, yeah, we have meetings every Monday at work. And I said, yeah, but that's work. And he goes, well, no, not really. There's more to it than that. So the other day, he went to his Monday morning meeting. For half the meeting, he watched the movie The Secret. I said, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I was so thrilled. What a company to work for that
Yeah.
is giving him that kind of training and support.
Awesome.
Isn't that just amazing? So he has been through the book Think and Grow Rich once already now. On New Year's Eve, he read another book, wrote his goals, put them up on the bathroom mirror, wrote on the back of the paper some steps that he was going to take to achieve those goals. I'm going so Kathy, I can't withdraw my support on him yet, because
No,
that's
that
such
makes
a
sense.
good
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's awesome. You know, that ties into what I was going to mention about, I discovered this planner. And if you go to bestself.com, you know, you can get it for free, like the PDF file, right? So I went and I was so happy with it, I ordered it. But what they've done is that she was an architect, and I forget what he was, because I'm still kind of studying all this. But, you know, they were talking about goals and how oftentimes people, you know, a 1-year goal just seems too big. So this planner is actually only 13 weeks. And what they talk about is, what's the goal you want to achieve, like in 13 weeks? And then it's like, what are going to be your progress steps? And then what tasks can you do daily? And they talk about, you know, like, and they suggest like 3 different goals maximum that you focus on. And you just do it like in 13-week increments, because they said, like, when it came to like doing the year, people often forget about it, and then come halfway through the year, they're like, oh, you know, I haven't done anything, you know, guilty as charged. So this is just 13-week increments.
What planner is it? Where do you find it?
It's bestself.com or .com.
Best Self?
Best Self.
You type in
B-E-S-T. Yeah, B-E-S-T. I'll put the link in.
Okay.
And, you know, I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out, like, you know, the 13-week roadmap and all that. Because I went ahead and I bought the journal, because I did it for a couple of days and I was kind of excited. So it was like $32, and I thought, that's fine. I don't care. You know, if this makes me successful. So I have 3 goals. I have 1 goal with my trading. I have 1 goal with my weight and my health. And I have 1 goal with moving the house. And, you know, when I think about, because here's what it comes down to. So the last year I studied Bob Proctor and other things, and I've enjoyed it, and I'm going to continue. But where I have an issue is the application, the action. That's, you know, why I was a little disappointed with the Bob Proctor coaching, because I was told I would have a coach who would help me, and that didn't happen. So it was like a real struggle for me. And I study and I learn, but it's like I'm not taking the action. You know, get up in the morning and study, and I'm just so this is kind of, to me, it's helping me, you know, because I have my big goal, you know, where I'm going to be a multimillionaire and all this. You know, Bob says just focus on that big goal, but, and, you know, take action. And I was kind of like floundering to some degree. So this is helping me because all three of those goals, my trading, getting the house ready and selling it by June, are all in line with, me and my health, all in line with the life I want, with my big goal. So I've really enjoyed it. And then there's a Facebook page, a Facebook group that goes with it. And, people help each other, give ideas or what have you. And, sometimes people start a journal, and the journal's not numbered, first of all. Okay, so none of the days are numbered. So it's not like you started the journal on January 1st, or you go, oh, well, mid-January, why bother? It starts whenever you start day one, And if you're gone, let's just say you're gone for a week, and you kind of fell off the wagon, so you don't have a week of blank pages. Just go to the next page and you put the new date in. So I love that. Like I do. I'm really excited about it because it's like taking what I've learned, but now it's like giving me something that's a little bit more tangible action-wise. And
That
then you
sounds
plan your day. What's that?
I was just saying that sounds really good. All of that sounds really good.
Yeah, and then what they suggest you do is like you block your day. So in it, let me just go get my journal because I'm just so excited.
Yeah, I've heard about the 13 weeks plan too from other authors. One of them might be Darren Hardy in The Compound Effect, I think, or somebody, where they say you break out your year into quarters.
Well, and they've read like a lot of the self-improvement books that we've probably read and all that, and this is where they came up with this.
Right.
So it's like when you open it up, it's like the day is 2 pages. So on the left page, you have your schedule, and the schedule is very lightly done from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So you can change that if your day starts earlier. They do it lightly so that you can write in whatever you want if that doesn't work. And then at the bottom it says, this morning I am grateful for. And they suggest 3 things to be grateful for, or if you only do one thing grateful for, 3 reasons why you're grateful for that. And then every day you write down your goal. So I write down all 3 of my goals in those 3 areas. And today's targets. So what are like the big things that you're going to put in your day? So I try to pick one from all 3 of my goals. And then at the end of the day, you kind of go through what were your lessons learned for today. Like, for example, Saturday, I didn't really plan in the morning or the night before. And I can tell you Saturday was a wasted day because I didn't have anything penciled in and planned. I just kind of had a list, but got distracted and off we went. So, and then at the end, she calls it like the brag zone. What are your wins for today? And then tonight I am grateful for, and again, 3 things. So it's very much in line, with everything we're learning, but this is helping me take action. So I love it.
You know what? I can see that helping me a great deal, Kathy, and especially for me lately, because I have been so distraught and demotivated about my job and unfulfilled. Like over the Christmas holidays, there was days I just hardly even got out of bed because what for? So Definitely I'm not taking any steps towards my goals. Like Napoleon Hill says, you got to be taking steps, right? And sitting in bed and doing nothing, that's not showing the universe I'm serious.
Exactly. And that's where, that's been my issue because I just kind of, I mean, I'm kind of spoiled. I don't deny it. And so, when I started the Bob Proctor, I had put in there that my goal is to have a life of freedom, but what that has resulted in is a very stagnant life because, my husband works and I can just do what I want when I want. And it's like, which means nothing because I can put I've just become like, it's just this habit. So I'm working at changing my habit. So that's when I decided blast off is my word this year because I'm taking action. So I've really enjoyed it because it's like, and you're going to have setbacks. And I've enjoyed the Facebook group because I've learned so much from some of the others, and I post ideas from what I've learned from my studies. Like someone was today, like, I'm really having a hard time coming up with things to be grateful for every day, something different. I go, it doesn't have to be different. The whole idea is that, to put you in a good state of mind. So it can be, whatever. It's like, oh, I got such a good night's sleep. I'm grateful for that. It can be the same thing every day, as long as it helps you feel really good and happy. That's the idea.
Right?
Yep.
What's that? Yeah, instead of it being a task, it's like, so I'm really enjoying the Facebook group. So then from that, I came across another book that I'm in the middle of, because I didn't think my journal was going to show up till next week, but it showed up yesterday. So I thought, what the hell, just start it. It doesn't have to be perfect. And like some of the people, they're on their fourth journal, right? And they keep them. And they said, the first one was a training ground for them, and they just learned to be better at, be more goal oriented. So I'm really excited about it. But what's that?
Living intentionally.
Yeah. And so the other book I came across that's got me kind of excited, maybe you guys have heard of it. It's called The Miracle Morning.
No, sounds good though.
Oh my. So this guy, I am just enjoying it because this guy, basically, The Miracle Morning, and you know what, guys, this isn't recorded, this part, is it?
It is, but I can chop it off.
Okay, because I have all.
How about I'll just stop the recording? Is everyone happy for what we've said so far to be left on?
Yes.